These 20-somethings is a podcast where I'll be sharing my experience as a 20-something-year-old who's trying to navigate this thing called life. I'll be sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, the lessons, the silly thoughts, whatever it is I feel like a 20-something-year-old should know, I will be sharing. This is a space I've created for my other 20-something-year-olds and for them to feel and to know that they are not alone. I am your host, Goli the Creative, and welcome to these 20-somethings. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of these 20-somethings. I hope you guys are good. I know I should be embarrassed, and I really am embarrassed because the last time I released an episode was on the 11th of September. So that's like 3 months ago. I'm embarrassed. Personally, I'm embarrassed, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to put up any other episodes if I'm not in if I'm not in a better mental state. So after I released the last episode, I was in shambles. I was really in shambles, and I knew that I could not give off anything. Hence why I stopped. I stopped recording episodes, and I'm really, really sorry about that. But I really had nothing to give you guys. I had nothing to give. If you know, this year has drained me so much. It has taken so much for me to get to the point I am at right now. I do feel better. I am, I think one of the things that are just making me feel better is the fact that we are towards the end of the year, and I'm very much hopeful of the new year. So I'm glad that this year is coming to an end, and I feel better mentally and just emotionally. Hence why the episode is being released today. And also this is the final episode of the year and of also of season 1. So we're wrapping up season 1. Initially I wanted to have 13 episodes, but to me that didn't make sense because I was why are you having 13 episodes, So I feel 10 is an even number. It just makes sense for me and the episode. So we are ending we're ending season 1 on episode 10. It's been crazy. This year, I never thought I would ever have a podcast. I never ever thought that I would have a podcast. And this podcast is the best thing that has ever happened to me. One of the best things that have ever happened to me this year. Before I started recording, I accidentally clicked on Spotify because I thought I was going to click on the Anchor app where I record my episodes, but I clicked on Spotify, and Spotify did the whole Spotify rap thing that has been trending on social media. If you are on Twitter specifically, you know how popular this trend was and how popular the Spotify rap was. So it has been a thing, and I wondered how people did that, but I didn't really give it a chance. So today I finally clicked on accidentally on the Spotify app, and it showed me it basically did a thingy. It wrapped up the year of these 20-somethings in one clip, right? And I just thought it was really cool. The fact that we are 9 episodes in, plus this one, so that's 10. We have 199 minutes in of listeners. This is on Spotify only, and we have been played in 7 countries. So that is so crazy to me because I never anticipated for us to be played in 7 countries. I actually thought we're just gonna be limited to South Africa. But shout out to everyone who's listening who is not from South Africa. I really do appreciate you guys, and those who are in South Africa as well. Thank you so much. You guys make things happen, and the support that I receive from you, the support that I've been receiving this year. There's been a lot of times where I've doubted my content and I've doubted the work that I do, even though I know I'm an amazing speaker. When I speak, I make sense. I have so much to give. The stories that I still need to tell, the stories that I'm already telling are incredible and they do cause impact. But there've been so many times and so many moments where I felt like, what am I doing? And I won't lie, there've been times where I've compared myself to other people and I've been like, oh, but like, why is that, why is that happening for that person and not me? And I think being honest to myself about those feelings made me be able to deal with them and not really suppress them, and then it caused like some sort of resentment towards myself and towards other people. So the fact that I'm here and I received the statistics that I received for the podcast on Spotify just affirmed me, and I'm just realizing the importance of affirming self and knowing that, no man, like, you're doing a great job, like, even if it's just one person listening, because I would think that like the people who are listening are just my friends and people who are on my contact list, but it's not. Like, the other day, this other girl on Twitter was answering like a tweet that said tag 3 of your favorite podcasts, and these 20 somethings was included in that tweet, and I don't even know that girl, like. And I just thought that was so wild that like someone who doesn't know me and I don't know that person follows me and likes my content. And for me, I'm really, really grateful that like it's not just the people who know me who support me, but it's also the people who don't know me, who believe in me and who believe in the content that I am producing and the content that I'm giving out. Because really the purpose of this podcast, like I've been saying, is to is to create a sense of community and a sense of belonging for these 20 somethings. So I'm really glad that we are starting to have that and we're starting to see that, so much greater good is gonna come out from this podcast. So many bigger things are gonna come out. I think with the other episodes, well, actually we're in season 1. To be honest, in season 1 I didn't know the direction of this podcast, right? I was doing things because they were trending or because I was not intentional about some of the content that I put up relating to the podcast. And not to say none of the the content that has been put up has not been genuine. Everything that you guys have been receiving from this podcast and everything that has been uploaded on this podcast has been genuine, but there were things that were really not intentional. Were not really intentional enough to the point that like made me feel like, okay, this is the intention of the specific podcast or the specific episode. So in season 2, we are definitely changing things around. I am definitely gonna be collaborating with God more. I think that's the one thing I didn't do in season 1, and that's why sometimes it felt like things were not intentional, because it's like I'm doing the things that I want, and not really what God wants for me to do. Because I came to the realization this week, that this podcast only exists because God spoke into it, and one day I'll share the story of how it came about. But like I don't want to be too long with the explanations and I don't want that. But I know that God spoke into this podcast, and this podcast exists because of him, and I really do want this podcast to give him the glory, in as much as it's creating community for us. But what's the point of there being a community and there being like a foundation, but God is not there, God is not the one who laid the foundation. And at first also I was very scared. I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be speaking about God in this podcast. Also, what if people don't like that? And I was like, but that's okay. Like your people will find you, the people who resonate with your podcast will find you, and you don't have to, not mention certain things because you're trying to protect people who if God is the one who created this podcast, then he should be included in it. And if people don't like that, then they're more than welcome to leave, and the people who are meant to stay will stay, and the people who are meant to find this podcast will find this podcast. So I just want to say that there is gonna be a lot of God and Bible verses being mentioned, but also like real life stuff that are happening in my life, that are not always like, Bible based or God based, but like things that are actually happening, like my feelings, like my experiences as a Black young 20-something-year-old living in South Africa. So I just want to let you guys know that there are gonna be a lot of changes, because this podcast is gonna be brought to you by God and me in partnership. So I'm very, very excited to see what he has in store for us. Initially I wanted to title this episode, being a 20-something-year-old is realizing that being in your 20s, your life will take a detour. And I think it's still valid. I think that title is still valid. But I just wanted to speak briefly about being at a place where you understand that your life in your 20s, or just your life in general, but right now I'm speaking about us being in our 20s, but like just being in your 20s is just realizing that life will take a detour, and sometimes it won't always go the way you had planned or anticipated for it to go, but it will always lead you, your life will always end up where it needs to. And sometimes the route of us getting to where we want to get is not the one, and sometimes it's not the one we had imagined. It's not the one that we have in mind. It's not the one that we desire. It's not the one that we prefer. Sometimes it just sucks that your plans get thrown out, and God takes over. And if you want to know more about specifically what I'm talking about in terms of God taking over your life with his plans, you can listen to the My Plans versus God's Plan episode. But just basically realizing that life will take a detour, and if you're at a place of contentment and of trust and of surrender to God and to the universe or whatever it is that you believe in, you will find peace in knowing that whoever is handling my life for me, that's God, will sort it out the way it should, and I don't have to worry about the logistics of it. I just have to trust and do as I'm told. I think our lives would be so much easier if we just did as we were told. If God said, "Koli, start the podcast and be consistent." Because for me, I'll be honest, I knew that God wanted me to start the podcast, and I started the podcast, but I was worried. I was worried about the listeners. I was like, God, okay, where are we going to get the listeners? Where are we going to market this thing? How is it going to look? I don't have the mic. I don't have the equipment. I don't have this. I don't have that. Right now, I'm recording on my phone, and I was just like, God, I don't have equipment for the podcast. But I'm glad that I listened, that I should start the podcast, because God will sort out the rest. I listened and I started the podcast, and God will sort out the things that I need for the podcast. So it's I don't have to stress about things, and I'm realizing that now, actually, that I don't have to stress about things that have nothing to do with me. If God says, Hamba, go sell your clothes, or an example. This is an example, okay? If God says, move to go sell your clothes and move to a different country, you don't have to worry about what are you gonna do in that country. God knows, and he will lead you. Everything that you need for you to survive in that place he has called you to, he will supply, and he will give you that, and you don't have to stress about it. So I'm learning that, and I'm learning that in your 20s, life will take a detour sometimes. Sometimes you just need to surrender, and you listen to what God says. Sometimes, we don't listen, and he's speaking, and we get to, and then we miss the message of what is being said, and we complicate our lives for no reason. I know I'm one to do that, guys. I'm one to complicate my life because I don't listen to God. I question things that I worry a lot, and it's sometimes you don't have to worry. God has, he's got you. So for me, I'm very excited to see what he has in store for us, because I'm listening. I'm trying to listen. He said to me, 2 weeks ago, you need to record this episode, and I didn't record it 2 weeks ago. So let's hope I didn't mess up his plan. But yes, I'm fine. But I am finally recording the episode, and yeah, I'm glad that I'm doing it, and I hope it will still fulfill and it will reach the people it needs to reach as he has planned. But I just wanna listen. Like, when it comes to the podcast, guys, I just wanna listen. Like, it's our podcast led by God, and I just wanna make sure that it does what it needs to do. Like, it completes its assignment. Like, I know this podcast has a purpose, and it will need to fulfill that purpose. And in order for that purpose to be fulfilled, I will need to listen. And the people who are in need of the words being spoken in this podcast will receive those words, and I don't have to stress about how, when. No, I just need to do what I got to do. I'm doing what I'm what's in my strength, and God will do what is also in his strength, and then dream team will meet each other halfway, because God can't do our work for us. He can't. But he can provide us with the strength to be able to complete those things that he has said for us to do, but he can't do our work for us. So I'm learning that, and I'm really excited for the for season 2. I have we have big plans. We have big plans. Like, I have these insane plans, and I hope they are fulfilled. I really pray they are fulfilled. I told God about it the other day, and I'm like, this is what I want. This for the podcast. I really hope this is also what you want for the podcast, because this is what I would like for the podcast. So I really hope we make it work and it happens. But I'm really excited for the content that you guys are gonna be receiving next year. That is it for season 1. I am so grateful for each and every one of you guys for listening, for downloading, for sharing, for following on our social media platform. It's growing. We're almost close to 200. That is insane. The love is crazy, and I don't take it for granted. I'm so grateful, guys, and I hope that next year we double the energy, we double the listening the listening minutes, we double the sharing, we double the tweets, every single thing. I really hope is in double next year, because we're leveling up. It's season 2. We're coming back with a bang. I'm really excited, and I can't wait for you guys to be on that journey with me. The year is coming to an end. I just want to say I hope you guys stay safe. I hope that you rest. I think rest is very important. You rest and you get to reflect on the year. You work on your dreams for the following year, for next year. You work on, whatever plans you have set. You set out a strategy. And, from the bottom of my heart, I really do pray that in each and every single thing that you guys do, regarding your lives, I really hope that God is at the center of it all, because he is the foundation, and it's only with him that we can succeed. All right, so I want to say Happy New Year. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all my listeners. See you guys next year. I love you so much. Stay safe. Stay safe, have fun, live your best lives, but stay safe. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and see you in 2023, baby.